Okay, hereby call this city council meeting to order September 3rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. We'll stand to do the flag salute. Pledge allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we'll do the excused absence. We have everybody here other than Ethan. He was excused. He's in the process of his wife having a baby, so he's excused. Minutes. We have Joint Cities County Port meeting minutes, July 31st, 2024.
I move to approve minutes of July 30th.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about that meeting that we had in Hepner? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? City Council meetings, August 6th, 2024.
I move to approve the minutes of August 6th, 2024, City Council regular meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion we'd like to have on those? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Financial report.
Okay, so Marta is gone today. She had obligated family obligation. So she wrote me a little write-up. Interest rates rose about 0.05% this month, with another small increase for the month of August. It was expected to start seeing interest rates decline starting the month of September 2024. A large expenditure is seen throughout all the operating funds as the liability insurance was paid in full, which was about $150,970. In the general fund, we received approximately 2.5% above the budgeted general property taxes, which is about $65,000. The capital project fund, the water system improvement phase 2, the GEO bond, is approximately 89.7% complete. This project is steadily coming along. We expect that the remaining funds will cover the entire cost of the project with the completion by late fall. Infrastructure costs are by far the majority activity for the city this month.
Are there any questions about our finance report given by our non-finance guy?
I don't have a copy of it, so.
You should have been under. You didn't, really?
Under your binder.
I don't have any questions about whatever she said.
So that's right. Thank you.
So when I look at this, Brandon, maybe you can answer this question for me. It looks like under the capital and project fund, there's still about $1 million to spend. Is that correct? Is that what's remaining?
Expenditures is year-to-date expenditures,
Versus the total
fund balance. Yep, that's what it looks like. And the fact that there still is money to cover it is quite amazing because of the cost of materials. When I mean, it was in the height of COVID and stuff, so. pretty cool.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments about this?
No, since we're starting off a new year.
All right, so we're doing something a little different. We're putting in, two public comment sessions. So there's some people who wish to do public comment just to be heard. And then there's people who wish to have public comment throughout, after the meeting, after the meat of our stuff has come. So I got two public comment cards. Are these, it's Crystal and Kathy. Would you like to do your public comment now?
No.
You'll do yours later, Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay. And Crystal, would you like to do yours now?
Mhm.
Okay,
Is it just right up here?
yeah,
Over there.
that's the podium.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and just read the public comment. Public comment period is an essential part of local government meetings, and our council strongly takes community input into consideration. However, in observance of Oregon open meeting laws, this isn't the time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Our city manager will direct staff to follow up with you regarding your comments or questions. Anyone may speak on any topic other than a matter in litigation, a quasi judicial land use matter, or a matter scheduled for public hearing at some future date. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. When your name is called, please proceed to the podium and speak clearly into the microphone. Begin by stating your name and address, and then express your view or offer your suggestion in a courteous and considerate manner. Remember to direct all remarks and questions to the council through the mayor. It is not appropriate to address the audience or the staff directly. All right, Crystal, you have the floor.
All right, I just have a couple items. The first one is talking about getting a park built in the new River Ridge Estates off of Wilson Lane. Currently to the north of the overpass here in Boardman off of Main Street, there are 4 parks. There's the city park behind the post office. There's the Sage Center Park. There's the skate park, I guess, which is by the sprinkler pad and the soccer fields. And then there is the Marina Park. To the south of the overpass, which is towards the library and Harvest Foods, there's one park, and that is Kincaid Park right here outside of City Hall. Some people might call it Little Tots Park because it has that sign out. So in the new River Ridge Estates, there has been some area that the builder constructed that is called, that's a common area. It's my understanding that though the builder held the deed to this common area because they built it, that they have deeded that over to the city. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, myself and many of the residents at River Ridge would like to approach the city council about getting a park there. If there is a park there, some of the homes that have been off of Wilson for a long time, for instance, the Maple Crest Apartments, the Wilson, I think it's the Wilson Ridge or Wilson Road Mobile Home Park, pardon me. Homes off of Adams and Mount Hood that are currently a mile from Kincaid Park. And if you have children, you're walking with children to the park, that can take an exorbitant amount of time to get there. Whereas they would be a half a mile or less from the River Ridge Estates Park, if we were to build one there. Also, all of the River Ridge residents that are currently residing or have been residing there will be just a few blocks from a brand new park. There are lots of children off of Pheasant, and there's Pheasant, Eagle, and can't remember the other name off of River Ridge. There are lots and lots of children in that neighborhood that the park would be within walking distance as well. So I think that would just be a wonderful idea that I would like to present to the city council. Let me see if there's anything else that I needed to add to that. Oh, the park, we would like it to have a play structure if possible. Sounded like maybe there was $1 million that was available maybe for spending on the budget, I don't know. And then a covered pavilion. And I guess that's probably my 3 minutes, so I'll have to bring more stuff next time. Unless I have more time.
Well, thank you, Crystal. What I would encourage is to have a conversation with, well, I was thinking Brandon, Carla and Brandon. and, have that open conversation with them about the possibilities of whether we can or whether we cannot, and they would be good people for you to talk to.
That's Brandon Hammond, the
Yep.
city manager, and Carla, what's Carla's last name?
McLean,
Okay, thank you.
it's McLean, right?
Yep.
All right,
Great.
Mr. Mayor, Ashley Barron,
does she have,
she raised her hand.
hey, Ashley, did you have, any public comment you wanted to share, Ashley?
Hi, yeah, I just had a question for Mr. Hammond, but I can ask it later, I guess. I can
Yeah, that's what I would do. If you had something you wanted to share, a comment or concern, you could. If you had a question, feel free to call him.
Okay, yeah, but I agree with what Crystal said. I think park would be a good idea for this side of town. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Hey, thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go on to our next part of our agenda. And we'll go to the formal proceedings, public hearing appeal of CUP 24-000001 continued. The public hearing on appeal APP 24-000002 of conditional use permit CUP 24-000001 is called to order. The hearing tonight will be conducted as follows, and we'll begin with the staff report by Carla McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Kiefer, members of the council. So we're, you received in your packet a lot of information. I think the most important for this evening and our request is the memo that was the very first piece. This week, if you drive along Main Street, you might see cameras mounted. We're gonna collect some video. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The camera should be up today. They were supposed to be out and up today. I'm looking at Chief, wondering if
I haven't seen them.
you haven't seen them, okay. But they're gonna be collecting video over the next several days. They're gonna analyze Wednesdays and Fridays. And then provide that back to us. It takes a while for that. Doesn't take long to collect the video. It takes a while to analyze the video. So that'll happen. So what we would like to do is at the last meeting, you closed the hearing and you continued the hearing and you closed the record except for the 7 and 7. And what we want to ask you to do tonight is to again continue to November 5th, 7 p.m. City Council chambers to continue the discussion and reopen the record. Specifically because we want to add information to that record, the information we're going to collect. We've also had a lot of folks in the public ask us and want to make comment about public safety and their concerns. And so we really want to give everybody the amount of time they need to be able to make comment to this record. And that obviously will give the appellant time as well to add additional information. We will try to make the video available, the video analysis available as early in the process as we can. So probably significantly before the hearing date. So that will be available and people can evaluate it and see it. I don't know exactly how that's going to come to us. It's a new process. It's some new technology that they have. So we're looking forward to that. So really tonight, I want to give you your evening back and just ask you to continue this to, again, November 5th, 7 p.m. City Council chambers. I know we're represented tonight. We have legal representation, and I know that the appellants, I believe that Alex Kattenhauer is on there as well as his counsel, Jennifer Breger. I don't know if they want to say anything procedurally. I would certainly give them that opportunity, but we're really just looking to provide you with additional information and come back to you with our formal and final recommendation before the next hearing in November. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Carla? Okay, so I'll give it to, what's her name?
Jennifer
Jennifer.
Breger.
Jennifer,
Thank
You
you,
have the
Mayor.
floor.
And
Hi
thank you,
there.
Carla, for the. I just want to make sure that I understand it, and you've been really good about it, Carla, sharing information in the record, but I don't want to be the one to pester you often. So at least as to the video information that you are going to distribute or make available to the public, can you send the appellant an email like through me when that is available? So I'm not
Absolutely,
asking.
absolutely, that would be my intent. Yep.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then I'm just to clarify, the record is just fully open and we'll have the opportunity to add comments. So
Yes.
thank you for that.
Yep.
So basically, Carla, we're gonna basically redo the,
We're kind of,
we're gonna go through and be able to have all the steps back into the public hearing.
right.
To where we can have comments and
Yep.
everything else.
You'll have a full public hearing on the 5th. We'll try to make sure the agenda is light enough to allow for that to happen and not be here real late. And yes, we'll have, we'll provide a full staff report. We'll talk about the new information. The appellant will be able to present their case. We'll probably show you some video, highlight reel or something, and yeah, have a good time.
All righty. So we're gonna need a motion if we wanna do that. No, we're not closing the hearing, I don't believe.
We're gonna continue, the motion would be to continue the hearing.
In the middle of the hearing?
Well, just like we did last time. Well, not necessarily just like what we did last time.
Yeah, because we're not gonna do a 7-7, we're just, so yes, okay, so procedurally, you're asking a good question, Brenda, so we did reopen, he gavelled the hearing open.
Mhm.
We have not reopened the record. So the record is closed at this moment. So what I would ask you to do in a motion, and you're right, the mayor should probably close tonight's hearing. And then I need a continuance, and I need you to reopen the record.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Do we have to do all the steps of the hearing before we close it, or can we?
No, you don't.
Okay.
Because there's nothing more I'm gonna share. I've shared what I'm gonna share from the staff perspective.
His name is
Jennifer shared what she's gonna share.
David.
Yeah, that is our
Hi.
council this evening.
Hey, David, we're looking for some help here, buddy.
Hey, yeah, you bet. So I'm first for the record, David Doofman with Beery Elsner, and I'm in for Chris tonight. He had a conflict, so I wanted to just kind of chime in here with respect to the continuance. I don't think I don't want to make it too complicated, or really what you're doing is saying we want to have this hearing that you're still in. You reopen tonight. We want to move that to November 5 at 7 p.m. And you're going to allow at that point for additional evidence and testimony around this video that staff has described, and then of course people that want to the appellants, others that would want to potentially comment on that. So you're essentially, I unfortunately, obviously I wasn't around for what you've done before, but you're reopening the record to allow for more evidence and testimony and continuing the hearing until the November 5 date. So a motion to that effect would be what we're looking for eventually from the council.
So do we need to close the hearing that I just opened?
No, you don't, because really what you're doing is going to be picking it up again on November 5. So there's no need to close it. You can just, really what you're doing is just continuing what you just opened tonight to November 5.
Okay. So we just need a motion to be able to do that.
So I move to reopen the record and continue the public hearing. Move it to November 5th at 7 p.m. to allow for additional evidence and testimony in the city council chambers here in Boardman.
I can second that.
Okay, is there any discussion that we need to have over this? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. All righty, so we'll go to introductions. Mr.
Thank you.
Hammond.
Thank you. We have two new hires. First is Stephanie Case. Stephanie. She is our new principal planner. She's been in the county for over 22 years and has around 10 years of planning experience, so very grateful to have Stephanie on board. And then Maria Lomeli. Maria's been in Boardman for over 20 years. And she has over 15 years of office experience, and Maria is our new office assistant. So I emphasize the year in the area because they're invested in it, and again, it's just such a good staff. So grateful to have Stephanie and Maria here.
Well, welcome, congratulations, even though I've seen you around, so.
Thank you.
The formal introductions. All right, so we'll go to our public comment. We have a prearranged presentation presented by Mr. Scheimer, Boardman Park and Rec District.
Oh, the land, Tower Road property.
Can you pull up the map of the Tower Road property? Yeah, just go to Google Maps.
All right. George Scheimer with Boardman Park and Rec District. I am here as the CEO of the district. And I was approached a few months ago about this property. This is property that you guys own as the city. And the area we're talking about is north of Coonsey, right next to Love's, right south and to the east. That area he's got his hand on. And what we would like to do is ask for you to join the board from the Boardman Park and Rec to start a conversation about that piece of property. We would like to get together in the next couple of weeks to actually have this conversation about possibility of the land being used to build an RV park to help supplement the problems we're having with workforce housing. With our RV park here that we have, that we take care of, we can only do so much to help out in that area. And we feel like that's our specialty, to take care of that RV park. And when we got approached about this property, to turn it into an RV park, it was the idea for the workforce in the area. And we know with Amazon coming in with so many more buildings, we have the solar panel work that's coming in. There is a high need. We know that in our county. So I can just tell you that the plan is to have 199 sites out there. But to get it going, I need help from you as a council and as well as from my board to be able to get conversations going. And so that's what I'm requesting tonight, is that we form up here in a few weeks. And Brandon, we're looking at dates that might work, whatever that will work for both groups. I know that's a bunch of people, but my board has, I went to my board about this at my last meeting to see if they would be interested in this project. And if there'd be somebody that'd be interested in being in this conversation, and I have 4 that are willing to jump in on this, so I was happy to hear that.
Hey, Mr. Schreiber, I got a question.
Yeah.
Does the county need to be involved in that conversation?
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some, zoning issues that we're gonna have to deal with. We're. That, and, I mean,
Maybe at a step later, the county comes in,
Yeah.
but right now.
county definitely have to be involved with this. There's investors also that are gonna be part of the conversation as we go through this, but the first step is to get both entities talking and see what we could do to make this happen, and if that's what you guys desire.
Would it be as beautiful as the current? Or,
I can tell you,
cause that one over at Space Age,
don't like that, do you? No, it's pretty,
I kind of do.
it might be efficient, but.
That's what I was gonna say, it's efficient, but it's not aesthetic.
That's the part where we're talking on, if we were to get this, if we were able to do this. How do we want to beautify it and everything, and how do we make it be efficient?
Hybrid.
It definitely could be. I definitely see the solar panels being part of this. But
But for
Not-
workforce housing, they don't get the part. They don't get.
And
the-
are you distinguishing, like, the park would be more of the recreational RV camping versus this is more
yeah,
longer term?
yeah, this is a totally a long-term stay situation. There wouldn't be any reason we couldn't take in other people that want to just quick stops and stuff, but the recreational, that is definitely the park down here. It'd be interesting, we don't even know how it would affect our winter stays for the people that choose to be here in a long term during the winter months.
Cause you have a fair number of people who come and they stay from like September, October until. first
October
April, and they have
yep,
to move
to the end
out.
of March.
Mhm.
I will say, in my experience, talking with people, there's a lot of people that stay. They're working in Boardman, but they're staying as far as the Dalles and Pendleton currently.
In an
Just
RV.
be in an RV because there is nowhere else to go,
Yep.
or they can't afford to stay
We've
because
had
rent's too
numerous
high.
people in that situation
Yeah.
contact us for that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's like I kind of associate to the RV park in Arion. That's right, that was built right next to ACH. I mean, that park is full. And that's housing,
yeah,
you know, it didn't used to be that way. And then when they built it, that housing force came there and they chose to, that's where those people, so, I mean.
it also depends on the jobs that are going on.
Absolutely.
Because like, we lost out on so many customers because the big jobs that were starting this last spring, didn't start, we would have had them in a month, and people didn't want to have to move after a month. So, but we get people that, I've already said, they're coming back here October 1st to be here again for the long term. They left in March and they're still working in the area, and they'll be back as soon as we open up for long term.
I think it's definitely worth having a conversation.
I think the first conversation you need to have is taxing entities cannot have businesses that do the same thing as private business. So I think you're gonna have to, that would be your very first hurdle to look at. Is because if we have somebody here in town already have the plans drawn up and are supposed to start any day to do some kind of housing over here. So that's a private investment. The reason the city we don't go do road clearing for every business in town is because we can't do that. So I am really, as much as I like the park, I am against this going out and investing money where we could really work to get a developer maybe to do that job. And we're back to this. If we're gonna do a strategic plan. We're back to this. We're doing all this stuff, and now we've decided to do a strategic plan on how we want things to look. From now to 40 years. And we're all hot to do everything next year. So it seems to me like that we're getting a tad bit anxious here to go do things that. I mean, I'm not against growth, I just don't want to be in trouble.
That's why I think that's why we have this conversation. Just
Right.
because we have a conversation doesn't mean that it's 100%. It's a
No.
conversation to where we can have another,
Well,
meeting
somebody has to
where-
figure out the legality of it, that's all, before we start talking.
There are instances when it's, and you can declare an emergency, and housing shortage is an emergency. That is an allowable thing that I have looked into. So,
I also, my understanding is that RV parks are very easy to develop. They're cost effective. It doesn't take very long to put them in either. That's my understanding when I did some research on it.
but again, that's why it's just an initial conversation. That's what the,
and then we can have all those hard conversations
Correct.
on
Yep.
yay, nay, why.
Yep.
And not have to,
correct.
but I
I don't know what the school's schedule is, but looking at dates, the 17th work for you guys?
It's in 2 Tuesdays.
3 Tuesdays in a row, people.
are we next then?
Doing something.
Do we need to do another
It's the
day?
19th. I don't know.
We have a meeting on the 19th.
Media.
The 10th is your training.
The 10th
Okay,
is
so
that
next week.
virtual, online for an hour.
Uh-huh.
You better write that down.
I was thinking, yeah.
I know you will.
I think September 7th is time.
Yeah, oh, yeah. My board doesn't meet during the day.
Here or at the park,
I'd say here better.
I think,
Nice,
just for
right?
space.
Yep.
And we can set some tables up and.
Okay, well, thank you
So
very
it's
much.
September 17th.
Can we do it earlier?
6?
I like 6 would work for me. I don't know.
I will get back to my board and make sure we're all good and. And if you'll choose me, I usually like to stay, but today's my anniversary. I want to take care of my wife.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Well, there's nothing to thank her. I'm trying to thank her for doing everything. Thanks very much.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we have a report only July 2024 Chamber and BCDA report.
Those are just reads.
They were
Reads.
just-
Yeah.
They were in the packet.
Anybody have any questions or comments about that? The report only 2024 second quarter TRT report. Any questions? Comments? All right, action items and resolutions, resolution 17-2024. We don't need to do that.
No,
do we?
that
That's
number
the-
will show up again on the November
Okay,
agenda.
so that's Xed out.
Yep.
So we'll jump down to the escrow account. Resolution 23-2024 escrow account culvert construction.
So last month you did 2. We skipped the culvert, so we need to do the same thing that we did with the other 2.
I have a question about it though. The resolution says on there that we will be paying the final 5% in 30 days after they've done most of the completion. They did most of the completion on the 30th of August. And the final payout will be by the 30th of September. And one just now. But how does that?
Now, so based on what Marta, my very limited knowledge, it was just a new law passed and we're just trying to catch up with the new requirements. That's all.
It's in 2020.
And the asphalt looks nice.
Yeah, I haven't been down that far.
They got both lanes, I think. I don't know if they got all the way to the connecting road, but they got those 2 lanes done.
Yeah, don't get me going on roads.
But he wants to drive on pavement, you know.
Yeah. You're on the other end too. All right, so, I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve resolution 23-2024, resolution establishing an interest-bearing escrow account for Colbert Construction Incorporated for work on Southeast Front Street and Southeast First Street improvements, and assigning Mayor Kiefer, Council President Baumgartner, and City Manager Hammond as signers on the account.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Is there any discussion over this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, resolution 24-2024, Boardman to Hemingway agreements.
So Carla,
You want me to take that one? I've only been working on this project since 2007. Yeah, anyway, are you all familiar with the B2H line? Anybody have any questions about the B2H line? So, when it comes to its near terminus here in Boardman, it does cross Circle 52. There is a pole on Circle 52 and there's obviously some line easement. There's also, so there are 3 documents. There is the actual easement in perpetuity for the facility itself. There is an access road easement because as a utility, they have to have access to their poles and infrastructure. And then there is a temporary construction easement. So when they're actually there doing construction, the easement allows for where their construction will take place. We have worked in good faith with B2H Idaho Power since its inception. And since we knew what this route was, and that predates me long before here in Boardman. Karen and Barry both worked with them for a long time. There has been a little bit of shift to the area. They recalculated the necessary payment. The city previously received a payment of about, I don't remember the number, 17,000. And this will trigger an additional payment of a little bit more than that, around $20,000 or $21,000. But we do have to grant them the easements. What the resolution does is simply says, we've worked with you, Idaho Power, we're granting you these easements and you're authorizing the city manager to sign on your behalf. If you have any specific questions about the utility of these easements, there are 2 representatives here tonight from Idaho Power. Both, oh yeah, this guy here, like Jeff Baccio that I've known forever and ever, and I just had a brain moment. And then a person I've not met before until tonight, Scott Cunningham, who is with the company that's doing their land acquisitions for them. So that would conclude what I would share with you. I'm happy to answer any questions, but again, any technical questions about the line or the easements themselves, I would refer you to the Idaho Power folks, their representatives.
So I got, so can you give me a quick refresher of kind of maybe in just where we were, where we are now and where we're going? I mean, I remember having this discussion a long time ago here in the discussion about the lines. Their purpose, or I mean, I totally am clueless about where all that
You're
stuff.
wanting Jeff to answer
Yeah,
that
those,
question.
the 2 gentlemen there on just being able to just give us an update or, you know, a brief synopsis of where we're at. I mean, I don't have a problem giving you access to the road because looks like we're gonna do it anyway.
thank you, Carla. We already did.
Huh?
We did this, we signed this, that was the first thing I signed.
Right. And so it's like, so now I'm just like, okay, if somebody was to ask me, at least have a synopsis of where we're at and why we did it.
Sure, I can provide that for you.
Hey, I appreciate it, yeah.
I'm Scott Cunningham, I'm the land agent, I work for Canacre USA, which was hired by Idaho Power Company to do this final, stages of acquisition and actually push this over the finish line and get the built, done, right? The way that this was originally taken by the predecessor company to us was as an option. And so they included the easements as part of that option, but we need now to exercise that option and actually take the easements themselves. And in the course of doing that and resurveying things, The company that I worked for discovered that there was a discrepancy between what they would actually need for Idaho Power's transmission line and the building of it in the access road and the temporary construction. So we've had to wait for documents on that. Once I put that together with the easements, we had, a viable way to move forward and get the record and, updated and actually take the easements. So that's what we're presenting now, are those 3 easements that exercise that option and the additional payment for the additional acreage. There was no temporary construction easement in the original option, for example, but we're going to need that for tensioning and pulling of the line. And there was a lot less access road. We've actually increased the access road acreage that we needed and decreased the easement itself acreage that we needed. So in the end, you're gonna have less impact, overall in the long run, as far as the, encumbrance of the power lines themselves.
So the lines are already there, right?
I believe that there are some,
But they're gonna
facilities that pass through the area, but I'm not sure that we've, installed anything at this
Oh.
stage or that's the
So you need the easement so you can do that.
correct.
Well, and don't they go over the circle? I mean, they're not going to be in the circle, they're just going over it. So it's not an impact to our property that we utilize.
Right, the pole sits, if you think of it like as a Pac-Man's,
Right.
a wide open one, it is in the mouth of the Pac-Man is where the pole is at. And the line kind of goes along that
I looked at the
eastern
map today.
edge, the eastern edge, yeah.
Yeah, so none of your usable acreage would be impacted by the
I-
footprint of the tower, just, have the overhead, lines going over.
I
that
just want
wastewater.
that to be clear to the audience.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Thank you all for your time.
You bet. Thank you. So I'm looking for a motion. Resolution 24-2024.
I move to approve resolution 24-2024, resolution approving power line easement and access road easement and a temporary construction easement and authorizing the city manager to sign on behalf of the city of Boardman.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Having hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, action items, update credit card account administrators.
So this is just, this is going to put people on the account who need to be on the account because the people who are on the account are no longer here. Is that correct? So those would be Marta, Amanda, and myself. So just trying to update.
So no, I don't think we're gonna grant that.
Yeah, now.
Probably important. You can submit your reimbursement form. Just like the school, you come and present and then we'll. Yes, please.
I move to have Brandon Hammond, Martin Barajas, and Amanda Mickles be our credit card account administrators through Banner Bank and to remove any previously listed administrators. That's administrators.
I'll second that.
All right, got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? PSP update, Public Advisory Committee appointment.
Your heads keep coming this way. So, this is the first of many. Somebody left their pen. Did one of you leave a pen? Did George leave a pen? Maybe it's mine. Anyway, somebody left their pen up here.
You haven't been up yet.
I love pens.
I have mine.
You have yours? Is it your partner? If not, it's George's. So this is the first of many. This is for the TSP update. The TSP updates is the only project that we're doing that is not funded by the city of Boardman. This is funded by ODOT and DLCD through the TGM program, or the Transportation and Growth Management Program. They kind of have a pre-formulated, this is who needs to be on your public advisory committee. So that's what you're kind of seeing here. But we did try to populate it with folks that we thought would be really good representatives, to this process. So this is a staff recommendation. At this point in time, the only position that's not filled is the one that's vacant for one of you to volunteer for. So Commissioner Rockwell has, Councilor Rockwell has already in a previous meeting indicated his interest to sit on the Public Advisory Committee for the Parks Master Plan. And we're doing our best to spread the glory around. So my first request would be for you guys to take a couple minutes and decide who might want to serve as a city councilor on this particular Public Advisory Committee, and then please take action to appoint the folks that you see listed there. And I'm happy to answer any questions about who they are and why we targeted them.
And the frequency, do you want to talk about the frequency?
Yeah, there'll be about 6, I think there's about 6 PAC meetings scheduled for this. We're kicking off hopefully later this month, if not the 1st of October. The contractor is finalizing some scheduling items. We've had our initial project management team. So there'll be about 6 PAC meetings. The project is slated to last about 15 months. But these things tend to slip. I've done enough of them that I know that. The funding is through the end of December next year. We're already working with ODOT to extend that funding date. But we should have things that I'm hoping we have things adopted by December next year. So that kind of gives you a sense of what the timeline is.
Do we nominate people?
And how long are the meetings typically?
They'll probably be afternoon meetings would be my guess. We could certainly do late afternoon to accommodate. We're gonna have to figure out what works for all of these folks. As you can see, some of these folks do this for part of their job, and then others are being asked to volunteer. So we have to find that balance. My experience is late afternoon usually works because the folks who are doing this for their job can make that work, and the people who can come can leave work a little early once or, a couple times over a course of a year. The meetings will probably be 2 or 3 hours would be my guess. Probably try to target that 2 hour, and there will be some reading involved. There'll be an existing conditions memo. There will be a future conditions memo. There will be probably a couple of other draft kind of parts or portions of the TSP, and then there would be the review of the final draft TSP and make comment on. So there will be some reading, there will be some meetings, there'll be some, we'll ask you to be engaged in that process.
So is there anybody that would like to be on that committee?
Anybody have a beating heart for transportation issues?
Well, I could be on it, but, Boar's on there, but he's a teacher, so it's gonna be tough to have day meetings.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
Alex is trying to get your attention.
that's Alex.
Yes.
All right, Alex.
Alex, you're muted.
Hello, council members. Thanks for your time. I would like the opportunity to ask the city council to consider myself, Alex Hattenauer, to be appointed to the TSP PAC. The list here, I believe, is heavily weighted non-business owner. There's one of 22 listed. I believe there's only 6 that are non-city council or ODOT. So I was not previously asked, but I'm going to ask the city council, since I have your attention, to appoint me to the TSP PAC. Thank you.
Oh, that makes it easy. Anybody,
Do you have a maximum number of people on the PAC?
Well, it is a big group, and so, if you want to add him, would you consider removing someone else? I oftentimes with these types of projects, you actually have 2 committees. You have what's called a technical advisory committee and a public advisory committee. The frustration is that oftentimes you end up repeating that information for both audiences. So in more recent projects, they've been trying to combine those. But it does make for a large group. The larger it gets, the more unruly it is, the harder it is to manage that. I think as staff, we tried to find a good balance with, again, ODOT to some degree kind of delineates who you're gonna, when they're funding it, they kind of delineate what types of people you should have on your advisory committee. So we tried to work within their categories to find a good broad mix of people. So, yeah, but he's asked the question and let you guys decide how you wanna approach that.
Well, one more probably doesn't make any difference when there's already 20.
So does a Boardman city council person have to be on it?
I would recommend that you have a representative on there, but as a group, you could decide to not have a representative on the group. That would be entirely up to you.
I'm okay with being on it because I sit on the city council, but I'm also a business owner.
So yeah, I'd be in favor of having them do it too. So would be great, but
So David Jones is a local business owner, Marcy Rodello, Reina Pacheco.
nevertheless. Voluntary.
So in the Boardman City Council position, we would put Heather Baumgartner in that slot.
Okay, so I need a motion.
I move that Heather be appointed to the DSP. PAC.
I second that.
Okay, a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on.
Now, I need you to appoint the whole slate. I need you to appoint the rest of the slate.
Well, oh, I thought we, oh, we didn't list it. We did one
I
person.
can do that. I move that David Jones, Marcy Rebella, Dave Forrest, Stephen Fuss, Raina Pacheco, Jacob Kane, Tori Griggs, Gabe Hansen, George Scheimer, Patty Perry, Carla McLean, Rolf Frank, Mike Lee, Stacy Goble, Eric Imes, Benjamin Tucker, Don Hurt, Devin Peary, Dave John Dudich, Andy Jones, Marlo Stanton, and Alex Houghton be appointed to the PAC.
But did you add his name?
Alex.
Yeah, she did.
That's what I thought. but
Believe so.
I'll Make sure.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chapter 2.16 Planning Commission.
It's back over here.
Oh, yeah, I'm feel like my granddaughter had one.
So several meetings ago, a couple meetings ago, we did this in your workshop. We talked about chickens and we talked about business licenses, and then this one kind of got a little bit of conversation at that same night. I think we want to start moving some of these forward and actually getting them into the updated municipal code as we can. This one is fairly simple, fairly straightforward. We are simply conforming this to practice and to law. And so you have in your packet both the red line and the final version. And I think what I'm asking for you to do tonight is just to simply to adopt this so we can update Muni code.
So 2.16.030 terms of office, those are all dated in 2004.
Right. And that would still be, that is still the case. So those were originally appointed in 2004 and we're not changing that appointment process. So yeah, it's kind of, it's just that funky holdover. Yep. But we still have 7 positions and they still rotate in 3 years, 2, 2, and 3, or 3, 2, and 2.
Says it expires December 31st, 2006, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. And they did, but they've continued, and it talks about successors shall hold office for 3 years commencing on January 1st. Yeah.
Well, I have some other questions about this.
Okay,
Because, well, under the red lines, you've changed some of the wording.
yeah,
Okay, so I guess I was curious, I see that it clearly states not fewer than 6 of the commissioners shall reside within the city limits. So you can read that to mean that the 7th one can be at large in the county. I mean, that's the way we've always done it.
Right. Until recently, that was the case. You've had a non-resident out of the Boardman zip code serve until just the most recent appointments. So it was, I'm not gonna get her first name right, Glea Baker
Mhm.
and Jacob Kane, both served in that non-city, non-resident position.
So,
Which one, I'm sorry, which one?
oh,
is-
I'm under 2.1608 membership restrictions.
Oh, wait, okay, yep.
I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't changed. I still think that we should be open. You know, because it says that you can only have a couple of real estate people and
Right.
whatever's.
Those are statutory requirements. This particular requirement is voluntary. I guess you've made that choice to do that. No, I did not change that. I think it has served the city well.
Okay, okay. Well, no, the one I really go to the 2.16 power of commission.
Yes,
Okay, you took out the commission shall control the subdivision of land and may make recommendations to the city council, to public officials and to individuals regarding land use locations, blah, 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 and added a lot of other words. So what? Since I'm not all that familiar with planning commission, what does this really mean?
so part of what I took out some language, there were some things, like in that particular one around the commission shall control the subdivision of land and may make recommendations to city council. Those are both two statements, but in the way this was written, they were connected together. And for subdivisions, they don't make recommendations to the council. Subdivisions are now by law can be done in a quasi, either a type 2 or type 3 mechanism, and it's not a decision that goes to the city council unless appealed. And then the second part of that was to public officials and to individuals regarding land use, kind of old language. Location of thoroughfares, again, just kind of old language.
Well, the subdivisions was what really caught my eye, because I thought that's.
It's still the purview of this planning commission. At certain thresholds, so 4 lots or more. So partitions are a type 2 decision and are done by staff with notice. Subdivisions are a quasi judicial at a certain point and go in front of the planning commission. So what we added was, I think, maybe some more modern language about what all the commission can do in that additional language. So we didn't delineate the specifics of what they do, but more the generalities of the land use program. And the land use program is a variety of things. It's land partitions, it's subdivisions, it's conditional use permits, it's variances, it's that whole purview of things.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Great, looking for a motion.
Move to approve amending chapter 2.16 to meet current statutory requirements. I'll second that.
Yeah, motion and second. We kind of had some discussion. Is there any other discussion that you may have? Having hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, I'll look at this side, garbage voucher.
Okay, so we put this off, just to remind, in 2023, we did not exceed $9,000 with 358 vouchers. For the April and May, we spent over 16,000 for 227 vouchers. So what I'm asking is, what do we want to do? We had, in the past, it's 1, 2, 3 times a year. We had discussed 2, 2, 2. So went from 3 to 6. Obviously, this was pre the garbage, the rate increase. So I'm asking the council, what would you guys like to proceed with?
I think it's a good idea. Probably because I was a proponent or a person who was in favor of it, of going to the threes, 2, 2, and 2.
Okay, the good idea is doing the 6.
Keep doing the 6, because we're already dealing with people throwing garbage away just in the middle of the street and by the containers. And so obviously that's saying we're not doing enough as far as controlling garbage. I mean, yeah, people have their own responsibility too, but I think we need to continue to do it. I still think we need to put more oversight on county individuals who are taking the garbage. I think there needs to be more, well, how that is. 'Cause
They had an idea of doing, Wayne, I talked to the lady at the county and she said that there's a way to specifically like, okay, you're from Boardman and they would be able to track it specifically. So that was a way to mitigate that. It was possible. So you're in favor of doing.
Oh, I'm in favor of 2, 2, and 2. I think that is, helping people not just throw their garbage anywhere and everywhere. We got lots of places on the river where people just throw garbage. And I think if we continue to provide a service of the transfer station, I think that is a good use of our money.
To the tune of $48,000 a year.
See, I think, I'm personally, I think we ought to go back to the 2 times a year, spring and fall. Because people that are gonna go out and throw their garbage out are gonna throw their garbage out. If they're down at that river, and throwing their garbage out down there. That's the type of people they are, and that's where they're gonna put their garbage. And the rest of the people, it gives you spring cleanup, you know, you can clean your yard, trim your bushes, get all that stuff done. In the fall, you can rake all your leaves and get all that done. And, you know, I don't know what you do about like. Some places that just save up their old, you know, like refrigerators and stoves and stuff like that, just for our time.
Well, those are free already.
Yeah, I
at
think
the
you can take
transfer
those no
station.
matter what. The
TVs,
appliances.
free appliances, but I just think it's, yeah, it's expensive. But you know what? It says a lot about our community on what we think we expect of our community. And it gives people opportunities to make sure that they're using that. And that's expensive. Do we need to tweak it a little bit? Could we put restrictions on it? And what they can or cannot on certain months? I don't know. But I think 2, 2, and 2 is a good thing. Yes.
My thoughts are, is there's a compromise, I do like having the 2 months in a row, but maybe instead of 2, 2, and 2, maybe we just do 2 and 2. So instead of having 6 or only having 2, we would have 4.
So where did we get to 6? It
2
was-
months, 2 months, and 2 months.
Oh,
April, May, July, August, October, November.
no, okay, then I would do a negotiation if
2
you wanna
months
do,
and 2 months.
or I would do 3 times, 1 month, 3 1-month ones, not put them together. You know,
See, I
I mean,
like
I either have to organize myself and get my garbage all figured out in June and again in,
Well, I think
Something.
it
Like
depends.
April to July and
I-
maybe October.
I think the other thing you have to consider too is not everybody is in the same boat as, say, us. Like, I look here, I think only one other person here, I think, still has kids at home. And everybody else probably still lives either with their spouse or significant other or whatever, so they don't have near as much trash as, say, someone like me or Christina. And so I like the idea of being able to have the 2, 2, 2, because when I have time to go do stuff is different than everybody else. Not everybody's on the same schedule. And when we think fall and spring or whatever, I mean, there's people that are working harvest that fall is a no-go. They're working every day. You know, and in the spring, you know, maybe. But I guess my point is not everybody's on the same schedule and we have to think about that as well. That's what I'm getting at. And if we're gonna invest money in our city, why not in cleanup?
I like the, either the 2, 2 or the 1, 1, 1. But tying it, at least one of them to like the community cleanup dates, right? Like this is the community cleanup month, like, so that we encourage people to practice maintaining our city clean.
Well, if we're gonna limit it, then we can't be as strict on our code enforcement on their property. I mean,
Because if they're waiting to dump stuff,
if you're gonna do fall and winter and you wanna come, I mean, it just encourages people to keep their property clean. You know, there's no excuse to having trash in your yard. There's no excuse to having a pile of leaves up against your fence. And yeah, I'm talking about myself. Okay, there's no excuse for that, because we have 6 months out of the year that I can take that and get rid of it. Or I can leave it there and I can have the code guy come and give me a ticket or tell me, Mr. Keeper, you need to get this cleaned up. I mean, I think we're squabbling about pennies according to our budget. That's my view. We're squabbling about investing into our citizens to be able to make it easier for them to keep their community cleaner. I would love to, but yeah.
Can we all?
So, but that's just my 2 cents. Obviously, I'm just one vote.
well, and I think the other thing to consider too is our weather patterns here. I mean, we have nothing but wind here and we gather everybody's garbage from everybody's city and town and somehow it ends up on my fence and so it goes back to like timing, like after we have a really nasty windstorm, that could happen whenever. Now all of a sudden we have all this garbage that we gotta clean up that's in our yard. And so I think being able to have the flexibility to do it on various months, whether it's 2-2-2 or 2-2-2s, we need to be open.
There's no excuse for me to get my blower and blow the leaves off my tree into the main street, down Columbia. Because it happens to be on a month that's not free. And, or a season that's not free. And so when that happens in November, and it's time for me to blow them off or pick them up, I mean, what am I gonna wanna do? Blow them in the street, which might be easier, or somebody else blow them in the street? I mean, that's.
I don't wanna sound callous, but I don't have a truck, so I can't even haul mine to the dump. Like, I think there's always going to be times when it's inconvenient to clean, and I think it's going to be times when the wind's blowing and we don't have a dump voucher. Dump vouchers paid for by city dollars, by taxpayers' money, should be a gift, not an expectation or around our lives. So in my opinion, 3 times a year, spread out between April and October, is enough of our money for something that your home, you purchased, you need to take care of. Not all the other taxpayers. That's just my opinion.
If you ask me how many times I've used the vouchers in 20-some years, less than maybe 5. So I'm trying to help the people who need to be helped.
A lot of times those people don't want to take their trash. But I'm just saying, I think that we're giving them the opportunity when we give them those 3 occasions. Or those 2 and 2 occasions.
Well,
whatever.
it also
Just prove
depends
the size,
too,
but-
like, I mean, that thing does fill up pretty quickly too. And so having it spread out over time definitely helps. I mean, I can only speak for myself. When we did it April to May, I was there every single weekend for the 2 months.
And sometimes if you don't go on Saturday, you'll
Mhm.
get off at the transfer
Yeah.
station because it's full. I
Yeah.
mean, though, all those things are true. They're all part of adulting.
All right, so we're not gonna come to a consensus, so we'll put it to a vote.
One other question.
Okay,
Were there a couple of times, because you mentioned that April and May, and that was when I was the only time I witnessed it was in May. With the other 2 times, were there 2 months, was there less that you saw that the doctors were being used?
We only did the 2 months once. Because the cost was so high.
So if we did like 1 month at the beginning, and then 2 months in the spring cleaning, and then 1 month at the end. That way you're spreading it out, but you've got that 2 month during spring cleaning.
I
time.
think you're more likely to clean in the spring.
Correct.
That's just my opinion.
Do we pay just a flat fee for the voucher or do we pay per visit with the voucher?
It's paid per tonnage.
Yeah.
So how much
How
are
do they know what the tonnage is?
They do it based on their, what they told me is that they say, hey, go to box 5, all the Boardman people are going to box 5,
Mhm.
and then they weigh box 5.
But that might be a good compromise, still do it 3 times a year, do it 1 month, do the 2 month and then the 1 month,
we still need a motion,
yes.
we need a motion. I know it's consensus, but we're not at a consensus.
Okay, so my vote is to 1, 2, and 1.
I just need a motion.
We're not doing a motion, that's just.
No, we're gonna make a motion on this. Because we're not gonna come
But
to a
is it-
consent.
But
We're
is
not
this
gonna
a
come to-
ordinance or a resolution?
We're just gonna be a motion to give a directive. We're not gonna come to a consensus, because I can tell you right now, I'm not gonna be consensus. My vote's a no, on whatever you guys are gonna say. It's a 6. So I'm just telling you that flat out, it should be a 6, and that's my vote, but, so that's why I wanna have a motion. On what we're gonna do, if it's gonna be a 1, 1, and 1, I need a motion, because I'm gonna vote no.
All right, well, I'll move. Since we have to have a motion.
You don't have to, we're just doing it so we can have it direct.
I move that we do it 3 times a year, once in the spring, once midsummer, and once at the end, beginning of fall or end of fall.
Okay, I have a motion, and, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
It didn't die on the vine.
And we're gonna, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I
No.
oppose.
I oppose.
Okay, so it's 4-2, so the 1, 1, and 1. Spring, fall, and winter.
Thank you.
I voted no for it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
3.
Oh, it's 3,
Oh, it's
3.
3 to 3. Thank you, Ethan.
All right, we don't have a consensus, we'll have to put it on for the next one.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry, Heather, I didn't catch that you,
I think it's because Richard and I talked at the exact same time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thanks for letting me know that, so we get it right. So let's just put that on the agenda for the next city council.
Yep.
And we'll have another discussion and who knows where it'll go after that. The emergency and evacuation plan 2024.
We're looking to adopt this. This is,
So I move to adopt the City of Boardman Emergency Evacuation Plan 2024 as the city's official.
Second that.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Occupational safety and health manual 2024.
same thing, looking to adopt.
I move to adopt the City of Boardman Occupational Safety and Health Manual 2024 as the city's official document.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I guess I'm curious, about. With all of these, there's lots of training involved, so. How's the training coming about?
Good, we go, a lot of it's through the CIS system. The occupational health is from CIS, and then we've adopted specifically that are pertinent to Boardman and just went. Included them in the OSHA, so it is very Boardman specific.
Well, and I think somebody, I asked someone, and I don't even recall who. Are you going to work early, like at 6? And they said, no, because we're doing training in the afternoons when it's too hot out.
There have been times that we've done training like that, yep.
That seems to make sense to me, but just because.
And we haven't, like, some trainings are twice a year, some trainings are once a year, so it just depends on the site.
Okay. That's all the things I wanted to know.
All right, so that was discussion. Anybody else for discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The missing middle housing fund.
Another consensus.
Yeah, so here's my suggestion. Just think about it. think about, we just had the information today, contemplate it, ask me any questions that you have. Over the next month, and then come back and see what you want to do. I really think that it really is about a revolving fund. That's what we're asked, and in my estimation, it is zero. Zero pressure, zero thing on the city. This funds are gonna come from the CREZ. You have a UEC entity that wants to match the funds, that wants to contribute. I mean, it is zero threat. And we're not saying we're not deciding the housing that's coming in. We're not saying, hey, you're gonna build it on our land. We are just creating a fund that can be available for investors to come and do that have to meet our current standards of building.
All right,
So I have maybe a couple of questions. Maybe even homework for you, Brandon. So one of the questions is, banking entity is the one who's deciding who gets the loan, is that correct? Or do you
Say
have,
that again.
is there a banking entity or someone who's going to verify whether or not the person who's applying for the loan dollars is qualified to receive them and has enough, I don't know, clout?
Now that's established by you guys. You guys would set the stipulation, this is what qualifies, this is who gets it, these are the stipulations if you aren't gonna use it. It's just like any kind of grant that we get from the federal or state. There's all those lists of requirements. You have to fill those lists of requirements, and you guys set the parameters.
And then I guess the homework piece was, I believe, I may get this wrong, but back in like, I'm gonna take a stab at like 2006 or 2007. There was, or maybe 2010, you might remember, Karen, there was gap financing available to offset the cost of building homes up to $100,000 for developers, so that they could get the house built before and get it on the market and then get it sold, so that they didn't have to make all the expenses and the first payments. And I was wondering if you would look and find out how many people took advantage of such things.
Yep, I can.
So I can tell you, none.
None. I was suspicious of that.
It's pretty easy.
I was suspicious of
And that
that.
was in 2000.
But I think that was
Was it
the
2001?
economy was really bad. A
I
lot.
think that's when the housing market crashed.
Yes, I mean, so,
That was 2007, 2008.
yeah, no, it's not, I think now if you had money that you would say, I would give you, like you say, 50,000 or 100 or whatever we want to say, that people would take advantage of it. And then when they sell the house, they can pay us back.
Correct.
And then it's just the bookkeeping thing that I'm sure Marta is not going to want to do. So,
Or it's the company that would manage the fund for us,
who would?
or a company that would manage. the
Well,
fund.
you could go to GEODC, that's their job. I mean, there's places that's their jobs, that does things like that, so.
Okay.
I think it might be more, that opportunity might be for advertising at this time. Now with the way housing is.
The meetings that I've attended, that is the big thing. They love that. The developers and landowners or whoever would jump at the fact of getting some kind of
Yeah.
interest rate financing or something.
Well, we might have had it capped at 100 grand and that just wasn't enough. I don't know. But,
It was the economy.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna borrow money.
Consensus would probably be keep going. Is that what you're looking for?
No, we'll go in. I mean, because there is gonna be some financial cost to this if they were
We'll
to,
keep talking.
yeah, keep that's the time.
LLC Legislative Priorities Survey.
Okay, so in your packet, you have something that looks like this. I just need everyone to give me their top 6.
I think I deleted it.
Thank you,
I
top 5.
deleted it.
And if we can just go down the line, just tell me the number, I'll mark. And the highest one, the highest 5 wins, and then you
Oh,
guys,
you wanted that, you wanted.
You
what
wanted us to fill it out?
no, just tell me.
Okay.
Right now?
If we could. We can
All right.
tonight.
Oh, I deleted it.
It's in your packet.
I know, I deleted it. It's an email you don't want to answer, you delete it.
Is there anyone that has their numbers ready?
I didn't write them down, but I know that I want the one about the immunity for property owners. Or. You own a piece of land, it's next to a rec site, everybody
Oh,
walks
that's
on it.
recreational immunity.
Yeah, recreational, thank you. Yep.
That is a big thing. That would probably be the
Want that
number
one.
one for me,
Which one?
recreational immunity.
And I want
Oh,
funding, I want the funding for
That's
looking
a big
into
one,
ways to incentivize
Housing production, full
mid-city
funding,
middle housing.
funding of. Funding and expanding public and inter-community transit network, funding and
No.
alignment for housing production funds.
I think so.
Okay.
If I was listening closely to what you just said, number 4 on the list. Where are we sent? I'll just leave it for.
It's what we want the legislature to talk about.
Correct, and if
That
you all
may
want
not
to-
even be,
It's just our vote. And if
Right.
you want to
You may
come to
not
a
even-
consensus now, that'd be even better. Okay, you ready? Yep.
Number 20,
Okay.
that's your number one.
gas tax. He's gonna write down 5 of them.
Well, I know, I just want to know what you voted.
Oh, that's all right.
Number 18,
Okay.
the transportation package. Um,
I liked community safety and neighborhood capability.
number 6, behavioral health.
Okay. 2 more.
Number 1. How many have I given you?
4.
4.
I guess. But. Do number 11.
Okay.
Lodging tax.
Brenda, you gave me 1.
I gave you 2.
3.
No, I gave you
Safety and.
Full funding and alignment for housing, was that
Okay.
the one?
Yep,
And I did the,
community
and the recreational immunity
and the livability.
and the livability.
Okay.
The artificial intelligence,
Okay.
security,
Oh, cybersecurity and privacy.
no, it's
Yeah.
17, it's about artificial intelligence, I don't have the numbers, because I'm on the main page or whatever, artificial intelligence.
Yep, got it.
It had to do with setting you up for success later with safety. And I like the lodging tax, but
That's 5.
You ready?
Yep.
1, 4, 10, 12, and 13.
well, that doesn't tell us enough. Richard.
Thank you, that's
What did you say?
That doesn't tell us enough, what did you go for?
infrastructure.
That.
Affordability.
No, I just went off of this.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 6. 7. I like the number 11, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
And definitely number 20.
That's 5. Okay.
Well, I'll give you my 5. These are gonna be the 5 that the mayor's conference talks about every time. So first one is number 5, recreational immunity. Number 2 is shelter and homeless response. It's a huge issue in our state, needs to be addressed. Number 7, kind of hits home, continued addiction policy reform. That needs to be, number 11, this is becoming really huge, lodging tax flexibility, with Airbnbs. And my last one would probably be, the number 17, because this is really taken off, is artificial intelligence. So those would be my votes for the state to address.
Can I get you to change one of your votes?
Which one?
Well, I think they
And then
will
we'll do-
automatically do the recreation one. Because they've passed it,
They
they just need to extend it.
they've
do
done
the
it, they
paperwork
suspended
right.
it for a year.
You're right.
It comes up the next year.
So, yes, and so I'm sure, I felt like they would do it.
I wanted to vote just to help keep the pressure
Make sure,
on the
okay.
politicians.
All right.
Christina, so
5,
sorry, no.
4, 1, 23, and 10.
5 for 123 10.
It's like a phone number.
Well, you're gonna have quite a time making 5 votes out of all those numbers.
Okay, so we have number 1, infrastructure funding. We have number 11, lodging tax flexibility. We have number 4, full funding and alignment for housing production. We have number 5, restoration of recreational immunity. And then we have several number 2s. So we have 4.
You didn't have a lot of 20s, shift the gas tax to road use?
So that's 2. So
I think
out
that's
of the
gonna
2,
happen regardless. I
out
don't
of the
think we're gonna
2s,
have a
we
choice on
have
that.
behavioral health enhancements, continued addiction policy reform, address energy affordability challenges from rising utility costs, artificial intelligence, shift from a gas tax to a road user fee. So those 5 had 2.
Oh, those are terrible.
So we just need to pick one.
Oh, they're good choices, but they're hard to choose.
They are hard to choose.
I vote for 2. We need one more, right? So
Yeah,
I
we need
vote for
one.
2.
What do you mean you vote for 2,
We gotta choose one.
So behavioral health.
Ties,
right?
so I vote for 2. Vote for number 2.
That makes it another tie.
Or vote 2 tie.
No, I vote for number 2.
The number 2.
Tiebreaker.
That'll just give us
So-
2. And the same, so you vote for number 6, so we have behavioral health enhancements,
Number 2,
that's number 6.
no,
Yeah, I
number
don't
2,
understand the number 2.
number 2 is shelter and
Can you
homeless
say them
response.
again, Brandon? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so these are the ones that have two votes.
They already have 2 votes.
2 votes.
I thought you said number 2 had 2
No.
votes.
So it's just as one.
Copy, I did.
So
miss.
behavioral health enhancements. Continued addiction policy reform. Affordable challenges and rising utility costs,
What?
AI. Gas tax.
Okay, anyway, so now I got the right numbers.
What were the 2, behavioral health one? There was one about.
Behavioral health and continued addiction policy reform.
I'd go with
6 and
7.
7.
I'd go with 7.
Okay, we have a vote for 7.
That's the addiction.
We have another vote for 7.
Oh, I'll switch that one.
All right.
I think I could change my vote to that one.
Okay, so now we need to make, so the consensus,
What's your input?
Yep.
1, 11, 4, 5, and 7.
1, 4, 5, 7, 11.
Yeah. You just put it in order.
So now we need a motion.
I move to have the city manager Hammond submit the results from the city council ballots to the LLC consideration into the legislative priorities.
Okay, a motion in a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
We need a,
Huh?
sorry,
The liquor license application.
we just need an approval.
I move to approve the liquor license application for River Lodging Cabins.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion anybody like to have over this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so now we're at our other public comment. Yes, it is your turn, Kathy Street. And I'll just remind you of the rules and regulations regarding public comment, because I already said them at the beginning.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. County Street, 655 Southwest Mount Hood Avenue. I have 2 things I want to comment on. I have 3 minutes. My first one is I would really love the city to consider adding a shade over the playground equipment at what I call the Tater Tot Park, which I found out is called Kincaid. There's like 2 small windows during the year that you can actually take a child there to play on the equipment. And you drive by it and they're like, playground, and then they say, too hot, or, you know, and so, I've seen big sail shades that they put over playgrounds when I visit my other grandchildren, and I think that would be a wonderful addition to that park over the playground equipment. My second comment is the garbage. I think what the city does with having garbage that coupons is amazing. I tell everybody about it. I tell the people in Aragon about it. I tell people in Hunter about it. I just think it's great. I just wish there was some way, as Mr. Rockwell said, during a windstorm, we get in our yard so much garbage from the big apartment complex on the corner, which I don't know what it's called.
Maple Crest.
Maple Crest flies over because their dumpsters are never closed because they're always full, overflowing. And that's the other thing relating to garbage is when you do the vouchers, people that live in apartment complexes do not get a voucher. The owner of the complex or the manager gets the voucher and the individuals don't. So I think that's part of the garbage problem we see, like mattresses laying everywhere and garbage surrounding the recycle bins is that fact. And again, like Brenda said, Ms. Prophet, I don't have a pickup at my disposal all the time. So I get the vouchers, but I never end up using them. So during the community cleanup, it would be awesome if you had like a big truck that slowly drove down the street and you knew it was coming by.
Picked up our sofas.
This is what we did in Condon, and you'd drive by and people would put it on there and off they'd go. And for the people that don't have the transportation or the physical ability to get something to the transfer station. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I liked your comments about trying to find a way for the people in the apartments to get rid of their.
Yeah.
I
didn't
really
realize
kind of
that.
resonated with me on
Is that,
how we can maybe address or try to do something with that.
is that something that we could incorporate with, the citywide cleanups that we're doing?
Truck.
Well, just pick another area where we can help, like, I mean, she brings up a good point. There are probably people that have garbage that don't have the ability, not necessarily because they don't have a truck, but maybe they're elderly and they just can't. And so, or disabled or whatever, and so, maybe
We used to, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do the we used to thing. People would turn their names in on cleanup day if we had so they could turn their name in, and then we could go and help them. And a lot of older people really did, I mean, because we tried to act like, like that we wanted to help them. It wasn't like
well, and there's a lot of high school kids, they need community service hours. I mean, they need 20 of them in order to graduate, so. I mean, I think that's something that you could do, maybe some outreach with high school kids and, because they're always scrambling at the end of the year, never fails.
Well, I like the discussion because we can add that into our discussion again when we were talking about the garbage vouchers. I personally think that there's a good addition to be able to talk to and maybe tweak some things.
And maybe even when we're doing we can actually talk to whoever owns, it's probably a big conglomerate that owns maybe press, but if whoever that owner is, because you can't get the voucher because you don't have water bill. So, but there's lots of places around that don't have a water bill that have garbage, so maybe we could do some kind of a coordinated effort with those landowners.
I think they get it.
Landowner does, but not the tenant, because you can't.
what you
Is
could
that
do
how you
is
pay your,
go have
sorry, Mr. Fuss, is that how you pay your water bill? Do you
No,
have a water bill
so
It goes to
I
a
also
company.
just moved, so,
previously?
like a week ago, but at Portview, I would pay water, gas, garbage, and sewer to the complex through their payment portal on top of my basement. I don't know what it's gonna be like now at my new place, because I haven't quite worked out. But
So it's just, I was just trying to say there are places that don't cover that anymore. And what they do is they take the total average, I'm just going off of my daughter. the total average water usage and they divide it by the number of tenants.
Yeah.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that they don't receive a water bill from the city.
No.
And,
That, you are correct.
and,
Yeah.
and it's because the land that they own is,
Owned by
could be,
somebody else.
could be, anyway.
But we could, like, have that discussion on saying, could we change?
I do
that?
know
You
that-
have to receive a water bill to have a voucher.
I do know who owns Maple Crest and Sandpiper. It's the same entity out of Canby, I believe.
So I'll entertain one question, even though I'm not supposed to.
Thank you. It's actually a suggestion. When we lived in the Tri-Cities, something Richland did was take one of those huge construction dumpsters. A couple of times a year, and they would put it at one of the local parks. So for people who only have cars, don't have trucks, maybe have to rely on someone else, could just go and dump their, like at Christmas time, they would put one there for all the Christmas trees. In the spring, they would put one there for all the yard waste. And so therefore, if you weren't paying your water bill, that wouldn't have mattered. So that's just a suggestion, is maybe a couple of times a year in a central place, putting some of those big construction dumpsters for people to come and freely dump.
So some places, to your point, Crystal, some places do that, like Bella Vista Estates. 2 or 3 times a year, they'll get a dumpster, but then that's the co-op that's purchasing the
Right, so I'm
dumpster and they're
suggesting
putting
the
it in the
city.
co-op for
Yeah.
the co-op resident to dump. with.
That's why I'm suggesting the city do that, not individual developments.
The city used to do that. Up to, fire station.
All right,
We-
so we'll add that to our discussion when we
Yeah.
talk about vouchers.
Okay.
I thank you for the input, really. If that's the whole idea of the public comment, is to spark, things with us. All right, please report.
Everybody should have received a copy of the report. We haven't been able to discuss this for the last couple of months due to a long agenda. But aside from that, you can see our numbers are skyrocketing. We're going from 250, 300 calls to 500 calls. So, and that doesn't seem to be letting up much. I don't see it diminishing with the growth we're having. I continue to see that being an issue. So we'll probably be having some discussions here pretty soon. Not this last Friday, the Friday before, we had our community night out. We had a decent turnout. It wasn't as much as normal. But I think the winds and the cold weather kind of
It was
threw
bad that
some
one day.
hampering in it, but we did have quite a few people show up for the community event, which is really nice. We thank all of our first responders for showing up and engaging with the community, which is always great. Nice fireworks show. Typically, I would say I was there about an hour directing traffic, unlike the 4th of July, which takes 2 hours. It was about an hour, so that is still quite a few vehicles to show
It looked
for
like it was pretty full.
the firework event. So just want to remind everybody that the fireworks were funded by McCurd, and so was the food. So last portion of my report, we hired Tamara Beardsley, who is a paramedic from the fire department. She was a deputy for Morrill County for a while to replace one of our officers. She started today. She'll be doing a lot of paperwork, and it'll be a while before she's actually out on her own, because she'll go through another FTO process like we usually do. So we're catching up with our staffing. I just don't know how long that's gonna be. We do have an officer that's potentially leaving for another city, so I'll have official notice probably in the next 2 weeks.
Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, building department report.
Oh, Glenn's gone.
Glenn, he's on there. So we have his report.
Well, say someone.
Oh, okay.
All right, Public Works. When's our street gonna be done there, dude? My friend?
Question of the hour,
Yeah, question of the hour. Will be when they get done, right?
hopefully they get done before snow flies and you get asphalt. You might even end up with a gravel driveway. There. It's going. It's about all I have to say.
Well, you won't have
I've
water.
been on many evenings
I
there.
think the residents are tired of the dust. That it's, you can't complain about it, but I have to listen to my wife every day, walk out, and she's not the only one that has cars out there that are dirty.
I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to show my face. Probably.
I get it.
People have been very nice so far.
I did see that
Probably
they
gonna come
moved,
to an end.
they moved the house down, so I guess that's a good thing, right? Even though there's still a hole in front of your house.
Well, it's more. in
I
front
would
of-
say a hole in the pit.
It's more in front of my neighbor who's right over there, the big old hole that smells like sewer.
We're gonna do a roundabout there. I think.
We should have taught, we should have.
A roundabout, slow the traffic down, it'll be good.
I was trying to figure out how you guys were getting out of your house. Did you have to do the
I
railroad
did,
track?
I
Okay,
did.
that's what I thought.
Just use that one little path,
Oh,
and it's sandy,
yeah.
and I track it into my garage.
All as I can say is our streets being very patient, because I don't
Yes.
have egg on my house.
Probably $2,000 or $3,000 worth of repairs in that spot too.
Yes, there were. They did stay up very late and fix some things.
We didn't have to deal with what Del Tosos had to deal with.
I didn't hear what happened to them.
Well, how many months were they in front of Del Tosos?
I haven't driven on my street since they started. I refuse to
I know,
drive.
is there still down either? I just, they walk,
Yeah.
I
there's-
walk and I see it. We've learned a lot about it at the library. Well, it's a topic of conversation for every person that lives in that area when they come in.
Let's change the subject, because we're not doing any good
No,
Well,
unless,
just because we're not talking about what you wanna talk about?
yes.
Okay.
So I wanna talk about new meters installed.
New meters?
Yeah, it says you put in 5 new meters
We did.
installed.
Most of them right out here behind the school.
And okay, then it says 31 new radio read installed.
That we put 31 radios in.
How close are you getting to radio
You see that
installed?
493? That's how many we went and read this last month. So that's how many we need to install.
That's how many you have installed?
No,
We have
they
like
need to.
600 installed, and we need 400 and.
Oh, okay, so that does mean that those are the ones you
493
read,
more of need to
and
be
so you've
installed.
you're about half done.
Just barely over.
Okay, that's enough on that one.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we're about
No,
to have
I'm
a
just-
contract around Columbia.
Yeah, they probably have to put some on that, yeah, never.
Well, yeah, those, they all need them too down that street, so.
Well, I see that we still, like, last year we had 39 new meters installed, so presumably that's 39 new homes. Well, or something called.
That would be correct, 39. new
And
services.
21 so far this year, so we had our biggest jump in August last year. Are you anticipating big numbers in the future, or?
I am probably. There's lots of homes that have been put up with have no meters.
That don't have a
currently,
meter yet?
Out behind the school,
Okay,
so there'll be more new meters.
more new meters coming.
Yeah, when we put a new meter in, we put a radio in too, so.
Do we have any more questions for Public Works?
Alrighty.
No, I wanna get to evaluation. Let's go.
Anything about the city manager August report? I'm taking over for the mayor.
City manager, report.
Yeah, just 2 things. So September 10th, I'll send you out a reminder. That's the LOC training. We're talking about the social media. 5:30 to 6:30, and then on the 24th, we're gonna do the open house for the building department. That's gonna be 3 to 6.
Are we thinking, when are we thinking about having an open house for when we get done with all the construction, the water building and all that?
Haven't even thought about it,
Probably 10 years from now.
No, we're gonna put it, Barry Byler's gonna get a plaque on one of those buildings and we're gonna have an open house.
so when we get closer to it, we'll do it.
It's in the contract even, by
Is
the
it?
way.
Nice.
I'm glad it got put in there.
Me too.
Were you here when that happened? Is that, I just wondered,
Could have
because
been.
I think
Could
we
have
talked
been.
about that.
Are these A to M things that are listed here, Housing Summit to Boardman Health Community Project, are those groups that you're contributing, that you're
Yes, visit,
participating,
yeah.
you go visit?
Okay. Is that all your presentation?
That's it.
Good council comments. I heard some council comments earlier about a road that got paved. Just happened to be in front of the business, which is probably pretty nice.
It is, they've been outside of a few times where they just kind of randomly took a portion of the road out and didn't tell nobody. And then cars were just gonna drive right off of it. And we had to flag them down and say, hey, you should put a ramp here, so nobody just. So outside of that, they've been very informative about when they're gonna have to do this and that or whatever. They inform, I don't know if they informed you, but they informed me last week about the paving and stuff, and it seems to be going fairly well. It looks good so far, so. I don't know how the semi truck drivers will like it, but
They aren't going to.
they're not. That's, I mean, the way I looked at it, I don't think they will, but that's
They'll
not for
figure it
me.
out.
They will.
So I did receive a message that the cameras are up.
Oh, good,
They
okay,
are up.
thank you.
Yeah, especially if it's starting tomorrow. Any other council comments? The only mayor's comment I have is the COT doing good. We're starting a new program. I talked to my school. But I'm trying to get community members, if you catch somebody doing good, we're taking pictures, comments, whatever. Share it with myself or Mr. Hammond. Just trying to recognize individuals in our community who do good. I mean, the one that I caught doing good, we kind of made fun of it about how often they were in front of my house for a sewer pipe that wasn't on the plot to get connected, and this city workers worked tirelessly to try to fix it for me, because for some reason they cut off the sewer pipe and it backed up into my place. And they took care of it, and it was just a mishap. And then I will give the credit to the people who are doing the roads, Silver Creek. They weren't gonna come out and do it that night. I think it was Sunday night. They were gonna do it Monday. But they stayed up until, they've been up late. They were up late until about 1 o'clock in the morning, fixing it and connecting it to the road. But you had to, unfortunately, I wasn't home listening to the beeping sound. My wife was listening to the beeping, and the neighbors around there were doing and Brenda and her husband had the big old spotlight shining right into their house as they were fixing it, but it got fixed, so, and, the city workers did a really good job, and I'm sure they're doing a really good job on others, places on, Columbia that have just kind of been a nightmare for them, so they've worked really hard, the city guys have. So kudos to them. I know I didn't have that written down. But
I have something.
yes,
I meant to say it at the beginning of the meeting. Last meeting, somebody expressed that they thought I was rude to you. And if I was, I'm sorry. I mean, I want to publicly say this, because if people thought I was being rude, I probably was. But I want you to know that, yeah.
and we have that little if we make
I don't-
eye contact, you kind of give each other that little rap there, grandma. And we can have that little look.
Well, I just want you to know that if I was disrespectful to you, I didn't intend to be,
I appreciate it.
because
Thank you.
you'll know I want you to be.
I'm sure. All righty, so we're gonna suspend this meeting because we're gonna go into an executive session. And to read.
In the
Your
binder.
my OR.
Oh,
It's
I
in
do
the
have one
binder.
thing. I do have one thing.
Mayor Kiefer, it's in your binder.
I do have one thing. I think that if we're gonna have 900 pages to read every time, that we might consider this being a paid position. Like even $50. Do we have that?
I don't think that should be the consideration for being paid. I think that we've talked about that we should get a stipend of $50 so that if you have to have a babysitter or buy lunch for your family or something, so you can participate. I don't think we should be paid to read. You knew you were gonna, but I agree with the 900 pages.
Okay, so before we separate, before we as a council separate, the Boardman City Council will now meet in executive session pursuant to the following: ORS 192.6602D, which allows the council to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. ORS 192.6602E, which allows the council to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. ORS 192.6602I, which allows the council to review and evaluate the employment related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session in person. The public virtual Zoom meeting link will be closed during the executive session as permissible. Executive session meetings are not subject to HB 2560, which is House Bill. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session. And I do not know how long our executive session will last. Okay. Okay, we're gonna resume our city council meeting after executive session. As far as labor negotiations, I move to ratify the Boardman Police Officer Association contract as presented for the next 2 years.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a consensus to give Brandon Hammond permission to continue negotiations with the real estate.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then as far as.
You need to be more specific on the real estate.
Oh,
Main Street.
which would be the old Boardman, Old City Hall.
At 206 North Main Street.
Is that what it is? Is it 206 North Main Street? Sure.
Yes,
Okay. We got that in the minutes for, okay.
it's in the recording.
You need me to say it again?
Nope, we're good.
As far as the performance evaluation, I move to that Brandon Hammond, the continuation of employment with, oh, that's not right. I move. What the heck did she say? Okay, we as a city council are in agreement that, Brandon Hammond should continue employment for the city of Boardman. Okay.
I second that.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. What was this?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what was going on.